Today we're reviewing VeggieTales, God Wants Me to Forgive Them. God Wants Me to Forgive Them was released on October 3rd, 1994, and like its predecessor, it also contains 3 segments. The first segment is The Grapes of Wrath, written by Phil Vischer. This is followed by The Forgive-O-Matic, also written by Phil Vischer, and Larry's Lagoon, by Phil Vischer and Mike Naraki. The songs on this show include The Grapes of Wrath, Some Veggies Went to Sea, which doesn't really count, and the Lagoon song, aka the Forgiveness song, performed by Jeff Morrow. Alright, now on to the review. I'll start with the pros and then move on to the cons. First, the pros. The character of Pa Grape is introduced. A classic piece of literature is parodied in The Grapes of Wrath. Junior Asparagus injures himself in the first VeggieTales attempt at an action sequence, and for some reason that strikes me as funny. This episode contains 2 really fun, catchy songs, The Grapes of Wrath and the Lagoon song. The Forgive-O-Matic segment is pretty clever and funny. There's a reference to Chichachia products, also a reference to Ginsu knives. Also, I find it funny that a potato plays the role of a West Virginia miner. Gilligan's Island is spoofed in the Larry's Lagoon segment. Bob gets smacked upside the head with a coconut, and that's, of course, funny. Cordy is caught playing a classic computer game. Also, there's a scene with Larry dreaming about being a Russian icebreaker captain. Pretty random. Also, Larry's futile attempt to leave the island. And not to mention all the things we learned we can make out of bamboo and coconuts. Bob running through the jungle like a madman's kind of funny. And there's some clever positioning of vegetables climbing up a ladder and onto a helicopter to the point that you believe it was possible. Also, the episode contains a professional voice actor, Jeff Morrow. Now on to the cons. The animation in this episode looks cheaper and sloppier than the animation in the previous episode half the time. Larry is still experimenting with his low dopey voice at times, and there's way too many close-ups of characters' noses in The Grapes of Wrath. Dad Asparagus appears to be sporting a psychedelic necktie for the majority of the first segment, and Rosie should be nominated for having the most obnoxious voice on VeggieTales. Pa Grape's lack of eyes is never addressed, and the Grapes of Wrath segment in general is pretty slow at times, and Junior gets pretty whiny too. Also, Larry seems to imply that Junior should forgive the Grapes because they are really sorry, but shouldn't Junior forgive the Grapes even if they were never sorry? And Larry once again implies that the reason Junior should forgive them is because they said they were sorry, even though that kind of goes against the whole point of the show. Bob and the others realize that they should have forgiven Larry for his failures only after they forgive each other for their own crimes against each other, but it seems much more likely that they would have just gotten mad at each other like they had previously gotten mad at Larry. Also, the whole scene where they realize they were wrong not to forgive Larry feels slow and forced. Also, there's no silly song with Larry segment in this show, and the whole show only contains 2 new original songs. Technically, it has 3 new songs, but one of them is Some Veggies Went to Sea. So, overall, not the worst episode ever, definitely not the best, and I wouldn't say it's better than the first show. My rating of this episode is mediocre. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.